Good morning and welcome to Southside Community Church. We're located at 901 Ackland in South Nashville, where Jerry L. Maynard II is the pastor. You have tuned in to Good Morning Glory, and we're glad to have you here. This morning, my name is Charlene Robinson, and this morning I will be speaking from Hebrews, the 12th chapter and the first verse. Hebrews, the 12th chapter and the first verse, okay? And it reads, "Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us." Now, I want to dissect that a little bit, if you don't mind, this morning. The first thing I want you to recognize is the verbs in this verse. We all know, or we should know, that verbs are action words. These are things that we have to do in order for us to move forward, in order for us to run. We can't let the pastor do it. We can't let mom and daddy do it. This is a personal thing that we have to do. Now it says, wherefore seeing, that's the first verb. You have to recognize. You have to recognize what's around you. That's the other word, compass. That means around you. What's going on around you? Who's around you? What's around you? Okay? About with so great a cloud of witnesses. Everywhere you go, especially nowadays, there are cameras everywhere. Everywhere you go, there are eyes on you. There are witnesses. Birds are witnesses. They have a voice. Trees, praise God, they have a voice. Children, what are you doing around the children? What are you doing around your parents? What are you doing around believers? What are you doing around non-believers? There are eyes on you. God's eyes are on you, but He gives you choices. And if you choose to have yourself acting out, you know how we can do sometimes, with those eyes on you, you'll be accountable for what you do in front of whatever people see or hear you do as a child of God. Okay, so seeing, so you have to realize somebody's watching you, compassed about, who's around you. Today, I want you to take a look. I want you to take a spiritual look of the people that walk in your circle. How have you presented yourself to them? You might be the only word that they see. How have you presented yourself to them? You have to be accountable. If you are a banker and I go there and I say I want my money, you have to be accountable for that. If my money's not there, where is it? I need to know. And you know how you are about your money. I know how I am about mine. So you have to be accountable for whatever your walk is. Let us lay aside. That means put it over there somewhere. Put it over there somewhere. Because you have witnesses. Okay, so he broke your heart 25 years ago. Put it over there somewhere. Because obviously you're still in the relationship. He's gone on about his business with his wife and 4 other children. Put it over there somewhere. Let it go. Let it go. My daddy didn't father me. Okay, are you a father today? Are you a mother today? What are you doing with your walk? Put that over there somewhere. You can come up out of that thing, but you have to do what I just said earlier. Use verbs. Move it. Lay it aside. Right over here. It has nothing to do with, that was my walk back then, but this is my walk right now. And your right now walk requires you to lay some things aside, because you can't be like, what's his name, with Charlie Brown, Linus, dragging all that stuff around you. Some people around you have dust allergies. I'm one of them. When you dragging, you creating dust for me. I can't do you. Okay? So you have to lay it aside, not drag it with you. Lay it aside, put it away. Put it away. The only time it should come up is when you're encouraging someone that's going through the same thing you went through. It shouldn't be in your daily, weekly, hourly talk. If you're around somebody that's constantly repeating, and you're constantly listening, guess what? You have just become their garbage can. You have just allowed that to get into your spirit. They have just poured into you their issue. As a saint, as a child of God, grab that person, especially if you realize that they're stuck. Grab that person by the hand, make them focus right there on you, nothing else, and pray for them. Right there on the spot. Either they're going to let it go or they're going to leave you alone. They won't bring it to you again. Because they'll know, oh no, I can't talk to her. Because she's that Jesus person, she's going to pray for me. So let me go over here. They won't deposit that in you and make it become your issue. It says lay aside every weight. Wait, let's talk about that. I used to be a personal trainer, okay? And people came to me with their weight issues. Not W-A-I-T, we'll get to that in a minute, but W-E-I-G-H-T. Okay, that particular weight means there has to be a balance for where you're going, how you're getting there, your stature. You have to address, people are addressing their physical weight, their fleshly weight, but what about your spiritual weight? What about that? Because that matters. You cannot be what you need to be carrying church hurt. You can't be that. You have to realize that whomever is up there ministering is a vessel. They're human just like you. If you got hurt by the pastor, the usher, I don't care, the musician, I don't care who it is. Your job is to go into action. Lay it aside. That's your job. You pray for them, but you lay it aside. Because guess what? They have challenges too. They have weights too that they are having to work on and work with. And you might be one of those weights. Think about that now, because sometimes when the preacher is up there preaching, they're giving you the tools to work with. But a lot of times, people want to be fed by somebody. Can you put this in my mouth? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with your hand picking up the Bible, reading the Bible, going in, talking to God, asking God, open this up for me. Reveal this to me. I know what he or she said from up there, but what is my daily walk? What am I required to do? I cannot just come here and eat once a week. I'm little, but I eat a lot. I cannot just do that. I have to eat every day. I have to be very mindful of what I eat to maintain the weight. Let's talk for a minute. The weight requires you to be refreshed. You have to have your water, your living water. You have to have that. The living water is the word. It flows in you, but before it can flow in you, you got to put it in you. You understand me? We are required, if you didn't know this, I'm a stickler for this. Whatever your weight is, you should be drinking half of that amount of water in ounces. Let me repeat that. If you weigh 100 pounds, you should be drinking 50 ounces of water a day. Why? Because we live in a toxic world. And we have to flush out those things that have nothing to do with our design. Okay? So we have to flush out those things on the spiritual tip. They have nothing to do with our design. I hear on TV profanity. That has nothing to do with my design. It might come in my head because I let that get in there. But I cannot let it come out of here because I have a cloud of witnesses that will be thrown off. You know, as the young kids say, throwed off. I'll be responsible for them being thrown off because, wait a minute, she's supposed to be this, that. Okay, there's a thin line between recognizing what a person is and judging them. So make sure you're not crossing that line. Make sure we hold each other accountable. Make sure that we're tuned in so that we know, okay, my sister needs some prayer over here. She doesn't need me talking about her. He doesn't need me talking about him. His shoes run over. Oh, that's pitiful. I never. Then you need to shut up or either go buy the brother some shoes. You understand me? That's what your walk should be. That's what your talk should be. When you lay aside every weight, lay aside those lips sometimes and listen and get to know what's going on around you in people's lives, because we're all about what's going on in your life. We're supposed to be about what's going on in your life. And the sin which does so easily beset us, like I said, it throws you off. Let somebody say something about my mama. I'm going to be thrown off. The little bitty things, the little foxes spoil the vine. They throw you off. And sometimes people know what throws you off, and they push your buttons, and here you go. Not recognizing that, wait a minute, that person just pushed my button. They know me. They meant to do that. They meant to see if I would act up or not. They meant to be my test today. Don't let your test throw you off. Okay? And let us run. How many people do you know that can run sitting down? Wow. Answer me that. Does anybody know anybody? Let me know who it is. Because me, I run when something's chasing me. Otherwise, I'm walking. I'm sorry. But I don't know anybody that runs that's not about their weight. You understand me? And they already have a path laid out where they're running. They know where they're going. Now it's a matter of starting the race. Sometimes you have so much weight on you. Oh, my money's not right. I need a house. I need a car. These kids are getting on my nerves. Why is she looking at me like that? You have so many different types of weights that throw you off that you can't run. But guess what? You know what those weights are. You're responsible for your physical weight, for what you put in you to cause the weight, for the things you do that cause the weight. And you're responsible for your spiritual weight, your spiritual walk, your spiritual relationship. You're responsible for that. The pastor, the minister, the brother, the sister pours into you, but what do you do with it once you get it? Do you sit down and think you're going to run? No, we don't sit down and run. That's not where this happens at. Let Freddy Krueger or somebody get behind you and you sitting down trying to get away at the same time. It's not going to happen. Freddy's going to get you. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. He's coming to get you, because guess what? You have not gone into action. You have to go into action. You have to run. But to run, you have to first condition yourself. It requires conditioning. The conditioning means you have to stretch. You have to go out a little bit at a time. A little bit at a time. If your weight is thrown off, you better not break out and run 5-10 miles. No, you can't do that. You have to pace yourself. You have to pace yourself in this walk that we're going in. You cannot go out there and minister to people and you have not studied. You have not taken the food in. You have not allowed yourself to absorb the necessary nutrients for this walk. Okay? You cannot do that. You have to absorb. You have to listen. You first have to have the mindset to listen, to want to absorb. Oh, they can't tell me nothing. And that's why you sitting, thinking you finna run. Because can't nobody pour into you. What good is a vessel that's supposed to carry, but it's empty? What good is it? Its job is to carry. Wow. If it's not carrying, then it's not doing its job. Wow. You have to allow yourself to be poured into so that you can pour out. If you can't pour out, then check your volume of what's going on the inside. Check what you're putting in on the inside. We're not talking about LA housewives right now. Is that what you're putting in there? Well, that's what's going to come out. You understand me? Whatever you're putting in there is what's going to come out. You're designed to carry light. But half your vessel is dark because it's overloaded with weight. Your issues can't, when you're ministering, you don't want to minister on a dirty plate. Let somebody bring some food to you on a dirty plate. You can see it's dirty. Would you want to eat that? Hello? You wouldn't want to eat that. I know I wouldn't want it. You better take this back. I'm not eating this. My mama didn't bring me up eating out of a dirty plate. And I'm not about to start now. So what you do is you make sure that when you're bringing something to someone that needs your help, that your plate is not dirty, your vessel is full of what it needs to be full of, that you're not out there gossiping about somebody when you go to someone in need. You have to be very, very mindful. You have to renew your mind and lay aside all that nonsense that you allowed yourself to pick up. That has nothing to do with you running with patience. You have to be patient. I've learned this. I'm the biological mother of 7 children who are now grown, praise God. He has taught me patience. He has taught me discernment, because when something got broke, guess what? I didn't do it. 7 times. No, somebody did it, and I'm going to get to the bottom of it. Literally, the bottom of it. Okay? So, I have been taught patience. My patience that I've been taught allows me to listen and to maneuver through everything it is that you're saying. And we all are allowed that same type of patience, but we have to exercise it. Don't jump so quick to conclusions. Listen. Use the wisdom of Solomon. It's out there. Grab it. Listen. And then address what you need to address with whatever the situation is. Don't fly off the handle in yourself. I've been guilty of that in my earlier years. And a lot of times it caused me to end up somewhere I didn't want to be, and that was in front of my mama with her looking at me a certain way, because you know my mama was old school. She didn't yell and scream and holler. She just looked. You know that look. You don't want to stand before God when he's looking at you like that. You don't want him looking at you like that, because you know better, you knew better, and you didn't do it. You didn't exercise it. So you run with patience. That's the other weight. W-A-I-T. There's two weights, W-E-I-G-H-T and W-A-I-T. You run with patience. If you are physically running and there's a tree there, then you, in your mind, you've already understood, I'm not to go in that direction. I have to go this way. It might take me out of my way, but I have to be patient and realize that I'm going to get right back on track with my running that I have to do. There are things that happen in your life that seem like, it's all about perspective. They seem like they throw you off. But all it is you're learning a lesson. You're learning a lesson. How many of you out here have had to learn lessons? Lessons. Raise your hand. There was a commercial. Raise your hand if you're sure. You know, how many of you, I've had to learn plenty of them. How many of you have had to learn lessons and you had to be patient even with yourself? Because that's where it all starts, is yourself. How are you going to tell somebody else to be patient and you don't even know what it is? You have to realize these things. You have to realize, you have to see to tell somebody else about seeing. You have to realize that you are responsible for the circle of individuals around you to be able to tell somebody else. You're responsible for the people you come into contact with. I have to realize that. You have to realize that. These are things we are physically responsible for in the spiritual world. You have to lay aside physically. If I'm going on a trip to Florida where it's hot, I love being around where it's hot because I don't have to deal with so much. But if I'm going to Florida, why is my suitcase loaded with stuff that's taking me to the Antarctic? What do I need it for? Why do I need Eskimo clothing in Florida? That has nothing to do with my journey. Nothing. Put that where it needs to go. Unpack that nonsense. Because that's extra weight. Unpack it. It has nothing to do with your journey. You picked up some hurt and you harp on it. You harp on it. You harp on it. When God sends you what you need, you can't even see it because you harping on something so old that the dirt is just covered it over and you just can't see what God has right in front of you. There are people out there asking for a husband. There's people out there asking for a wife. There's people out there asking for a house who had maybe a bad landlord and God has a nice one over there you can get. It's for you, but you can't see it because you're stuck over here. He's for you. You can't see it because he broke my heart. And so we got the glue. It's right here. Put it back together. That's what God specializes in. Putting things back together. Humpty Dumpty might have fell off the wall, and they may not have been able to put him together, but God is not Humpty or Dumpty. He can put you back together, but you have to be willing to allow him to do that. You cannot walk around for 50 years talking about something that happened to you when you were 5. You can't do that and expect to grow beyond that situation. You will never, ever ever get past the situation if you don't lay it aside. It's a weight.
Come on.
It's a weight. It easily besets you because it got into you early. Early in your walk, it got into you. And here you go, rehashing it. Let that go. I'm tired of hearing it. Let it go. Let go and let God assist you in your current journey. That was another journey back then. That was another situation back then. That was another time back then. That was back then. What are you doing right now? What is your walk right now? Are you running while you're sitting down? You're trying, your legs just going and you're not going nowhere. What are you doing? Ask yourself today. Look over there. Look over there. Ask the person you're looking at, what are you doing? Right now, do that. What are you doing? Where are you going? Do you have the right things in your suitcase for your journey today? Because if you don't, you have some laying aside to do. You have some exercising to do. The pastor can't do it for you. I can't do it for you. You have to exercise what you have on the inside of you. You have to stir that thing up and exercise what's on the inside of you to lay it aside. It's not my job to lay aside your weight. It's your job to do that. It's not my job to allow certain foods to come inside of you. If somebody's around me talking and they're saying some nonsense, guess what? My ears automatically, whoop, that's not for me. Whoop, I can't absorb that. I go into kung fu mode. That has to go. I'm not absorbing that. No, because if I absorb it, it becomes part of me. And I could talk to you on and on and on and on. But again, we are Southside Community Church. We are located at 901 Ackland in South Nashville. Pastor Jerry L. Maynard II is the presiding pastor here. We have morning worship at 10 o'clock. You can tune in online, but you also can come out with your mask in hand. We practice social distancing here. And I'll be so glad when I can get a hug. But you can come out and fill in a space at a distance if you need to. You can go to our website, sscc.org, online, and tune in to us, okay? Just tune in and let us assist you with laying aside your weight. There are all kinds of personal trainers online. Let us be your spiritual trainer today to assist you in laying aside every weight. Not to do it, but to assist you. Okay? Thank you for tuning in to Morning Glory, and we hope to see you again.